Back in June 2023, the Social Fund of Russia published monthly data on the number of people with disabilities in the Federation. A separate line in the register regularly included data on Russians who became disabled in the war against Ukraine. This information is no longer available because the Russian authorities hid data on the number of disabled people.
The press service of the Social Fund refused to Mediazone to name the reason for classifying open data. Please contact Rosstat for this data, they wrote in response to the publication's request, from a publication of Mediazona.
The Russian medical system was not prepared for a large influx of wounded, writes British intelligence, and the classification of even the topic itself is the first sign of complete oblivion and writing off of those who received disabilities in the war against Ukraine, experts say.
There are too many crippled people, the queue for disability is huge. The front, even in a regime of relative stagnation, daily and regularly adds at least from 30 to 50 cripples to the nightmare queue, and the hot days of large-scale battles are at least a couple of hundred. Alexander Nevzorov, journalist on Telegram.
People with disabilities across the country complain that they do not receive technical means of rehabilitation and compensation for them. They buy the necessary equipment and funds with their own money, and when they run out, they write complaints.
I wrote to the prosecutor's office. They also received a reply that the federal budget does not fund it. That's all. Now I see that there are complaints all over Russia, so I started looking for where I can take part, somewhere else to write a complaint. Tell me, what is this? Genocide of people with disabilities? And now even more disabled people are returning from the war. What now? It turns out that they will kill you through non-payment, like the war will write everything off. Yuri, resident of Russia, in an interview with Siberia Realities.
How many Russians were injured in the war against Ukraine is unknown. Moscow hides lost statistics. Obviously, we are talking about hundreds of thousands. According to British intelligence, one of the peculiarities of the Russian army is that it is too slow to evacuate the wounded, and the use of a crude tourniquet included in equipment is the leading cause of avoiding death and amputations. Russian soldiers themselves also complain about the attitude of the military leadership on social networks.
Bring the buses, load up the soldiers, how many are wounded, all day in the sun. Departure will be at 8 p.m. The guys lie under the scorching sun all day. No food, no water, the only thing that they was brought recently. This is the bestial attitude we have. We can walk, okay, but these lying boys are suffering.
At the beginning of the summer of 2023, the Kremlin recommended that Russian governors not publish necrologues of those killed in the war, especially the heads of the regions with the greatest losses. Instead, they proposed to more actively disseminate positive news about help for military families and the successes of the Russian army. Reported by Roman Smoler, Natalia Husak, UA TV News.